2nd and 6. New England ball. When TreVeyon Henderson checks into the game, the defense changes before anyone snaps anything. The safety on his side backs off and widens 3 yards. Both linebackers slide half a step towards the sideline. The edge rushers stop squeezing down and start setting soft because he's already decided the only thing that could beat him is Henderson getting outside his shoulder. Handoff to Henderson. There's a lane inside that play. There almost always is. But it doesn't exist yet when the ball hits his hands. It shows up a beat later, once the blocking sorts itself out. And getting to it means staying behind linemen he can't see past. Sometimes Henderson does that and it works. Not here. Like he did back at Ohio State, he leaves the block early. He trusts his speed. The hole looks too muddy, and that offensive line has not blocked well all year. So he bounces it outside. What else can you expect? Both linebackers already know that about him, and they've crossed his face going the same way. He gets to the edge. 4 guys are standing there waiting on him because the film told them a 202-pound speedback hates running in between the tackles. So none of them defended the other half of the field. Gain of 2 yards. 3rd down. Now, Buffalo, same down, 2nd and 6. James Cook is listed at 190 pounds. Same body type on his scouting report as Henderson. Same kind of speed, and defenses would love to do to him exactly what they did to Henderson. But they can't. The safety stays home. Both linebackers hold their gaps. The backside end squeezes down instead of running upfield. Handoff to Cook. And Cook runs straight at his own guard. He gets in behind that pulling guard, matches his tempo to the block. Sometimes that means gearing down, going a little slower. Sometimes it means just going. On this play, he presses forward, slowly enough to stay on the guard's hip pocket. And while he does it, the double team is washing the nose tackle 2 yards down the line, and the guard is climbing up to the linebacker. And Cook keeps both gaps alive while there, so the linebacker has to honor both of them. Then the linebacker eventually picks one. The guard seals him. The hole opens exactly where the blocks put it. Cook's already there. He sees daylight. It now gets ugly. Cook hits top speed before he's 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. And there is not a defensive back alive who runs down a back at top speed from behind. Buffalo needed 6. Cook took it 60 yards. Touchdown! And Cook had the same exact half-second Henderson did. He spent it reading his blocks instead of hunting an escape route. And because he stayed on the block all the way in, had correct vision, and followed the scheme, he got to the hole already at full stride. A back who hits a hole at full stride does not get caught from behind. And the read, the vision, is what lets him use the speed at all. Same down, and Cook is smaller of the 2 running backs. Henderson is listed at 202 pounds. Cook is listed at 190. The back nobody will respect between the tackles is 12 pounds heavier than the one who just took 60 yards to the house. So this was never about size, which is a common misconception. What makes Cook special is the combination: elite vision, real elite speed, and enough force behind it to survive inside. All in the same 190-pound body. This is how you run between the tackles for 1,621 yards. In my first video, I told you can't consistently teach split-second vision at the NFL level. Front offices fall in love with 40 time. They draft track stars who can't find a hole, and then they act shocked when he sucks. Denver did it with R.J. Harvey and had to sign a hurt J.K. Dobbins just to get a back who could see. Philadelphia did it for years with Miles Sanders. And New England did it with TreVeyon Henderson. I called that a waste of a pick at the time. I stand by that. James Cook went and learned elite split-second vision. He came into this league without it. He built it up after he got here. Now some of you are already typing that other backs have the same combination. And you're right. Jonathan Taylor has elite speed, size, and great vision. Saquon has the same. Real speed with real vision is rare, but Cook didn't invent it, and it's not impossible to find it in the league. What makes Cook different is that he showed up to this league with only half that skill set. And there's a reason the combination is that rare. Speed is the thing that stops these guys from ever building elite vision. Put a back who runs a 4.3 in college. He doesn't need to read anything. The linebacker across from him runs a 4.8, if lucky. and is going to be selling insurance in 3 years. So the back takes handoffs, sees a muddy hole, bounces it outside, beats everybody to the corner, and goes for 40 yards. And it works. It works every Sunday for 3 straight years. And every time it works, it teaches the running back the same lesson. When in doubt, get to the edge. When that back gets drafted, now the linebackers run a 4-5. The corner was a first-round pick and tackles excellently. He has to learn to follow the blocks for the first time in his life. At the age of 22, 23, against grown men, with a coordinator who benches him every single time he guesses the wrong hole. Good luck. That was James Cook coming out of Georgia, with one extra problem stacked on top of it. He was bounce happy, like the rest of them. But Georgia also ran a committee, so he shared that backfield his whole career and came out of a program that sends backs to the league underscouted, underdeveloped almost every year. So most rookies at least arrive having already failed to read blocks a few hundred times in college. Cook arrived having been barely asked to, so he showed up raw at the one thing you're not supposed to be able to fix. And then Buffalo fixed it. It's worth being exact about what vision is, because it gets thrown around a lot, like having good eyes. A running back gets about half a second after the handoff, and the mistake is thinking he spends it picking a hole. There's no hole yet most of the time. What he's doing in that half a second is picking a block and getting behind it, then running at whatever speed that block is developing. So he still has 2 gaps available when it finally resolves. The block wins or it loses. The daylight shows up or doesn't. He takes it or fails. Commit before the block tells you anything and you're guessing. Commit a beat after it develops and the gap is already closed. Harvey got carries behind a top 3 offensive line and never learned to do that. Sanders got years behind a Hall of Fame line and never learned it either. Both of these guys had blocks developed perfectly in front of them and committed anyways before their own line had answers. Put 2022 version of Cook on that same Buffalo touchdown play. He takes the handoff, get outside. A guard pulls in front of him. A body crosses his face. Means exactly one thing to that version of him. Get outside. He never gets behind the block at all. He bounces. The corner is sitting there waiting on him. And the run gains 2 yards with his name on it instead of Henderson's. For a back with that kind of speed, the hardest part was learning to run at his blocking lineman's tempo instead of his own. Reading a block is half of it. The other half is surviving what's waiting in the gap once he gets there. And Cook is not moving a linebacker from a standstill at 190 pounds. Let's take a step back. Think about how a speed to power pass rusher works. A 250-pound edge rusher bull rushes a 320-pound tackle straight backward, and it works because he got 2 steps of runway before the contact. The mass never changes. The acceleration, the speed did. Cook runs the same exact way. At full speed, through the hole, he carries real force into that tackle. Arm tackles slide off of him. Safeties with a bad angle get run through. The contact balance holds when the hit arrives from the side. So a defensive coordinator has no good answer. Play Cook honest inside, and the first crease that opens goes for 20 yards before anybody gets a hand on him. Cheat your linebackers inside to stop that, and he still has the outside zone crack toss waiting, which was always the easiest play for a back with that kind of speed. Most of this league runs the same ground game now. Wide zone, get in the gun, put the back on the outside hip, stretch the front side, and hunt an explosive outside the tackles. Shanahan built it, half the NFL copied it. Buffalo went the other way. They get under center. They run power. They run lead. They run counter. They pull a guard, and they move you off the ball north and south. Last season, they led the entire NFL in 22 personnel at a 13.3% of their snaps. What that means is that's 2 tight ends and 2 running backs, one of them a fullback. They were also 10th in the league in 21 personnel. While the rest of the NFL spread out to go find grass, Buffalo added bodies and walked straight at the middle of your defense. And the entire league built itself wide open to get countered by this. Everybody constructed their defense to chase wide zone. That means lighter linebackers who could run sideline to sideline, undersized, penetrating tackles who shoot gaps, and they live in nickel with 5 defensive backs on the field as your base. Stopping power asks for the opposite of all of that. Power asks whether your tackles can hold his ground against a double team, and whether you have enough bodies in the box to account for every gap. So Buffalo lines up in 22 personnel and hands you a choice. Match it with your defense, and now your heaviest, slowest guys are on the field against Josh Allen. Stay in the nickel, and they'll run power down your throat until you make them stop. Not every team could pull this off. Buffalo can for 2 reasons. First is their offensive line. I rank the offensive line as 8th best in the NFL overall, and 11th best in run blocking specifically. Spencer Brown at right tackle is the best player in the room, and one of the best run blocking tackles anywhere. With Deion Dawkins holding the left side and Connor McGovern at center, every argument against Josh Allen winning MVP starts with somebody pointing at that offensive line. And they point to it for a reason. The second reason is Josh Allen. In my first video, I broke down what happens when you put a physical runner next to an alien quarterback. With Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, defensive coordinators were helpless, crashing down on Henry and Lamar running outside. Spy, Lamar, and Henry stiff arms your linebackers into the turf. Buffalo runs a similar type of math. Josh Allen is the 240-pound guy, and he ran more design carries last season than everybody else in the league except Jackson Dart. So put yourself at the backside end on inside zone. You see a guard pull in front of you, chase Cook down the line, and a quarterback with the size to keep it around the edge behind you for 15 is there, ready to go. Sit and wait on Allen, and Cook is already through the crease. You're wrong either way, on every snap, whether Allen keeps it or not. Buffalo also does a great thing by refusing to grind James Cook into the dust. And Kansas City is going to find out why that matters because they paid Kenneth Walker without bringing in anybody to absorb his passing down hits. Cook takes the early downs. Ty Johnson handles the third downs. Ray Davis eats the carries once the game is already won. And Baltimore uses Derrick Henry and the rest of that RB room the same exact way. The whole Bills run game has one problem. It all depends on Cook and Josh Allen staying upright. Johnson and Davis, neither one of them is a starting NFL running back. The week Cook or Allen goes down, the offense loses its explosive plays on the ground, and the whole identity gets a lot easier to defend. In my first video, I said Lamar Jackson got the luxury nuclear weapon in Derrick Henry, and Josh Allen got a rescue rope. I was underselling who Josh Allen got. Allen's number 2 and number 3 targets last season were both tight ends. That receiving room was borderline insulting. And that offense stayed one of the most efficient in football anyways, because Buffalo could get under the center and run power at you with a 190-pound back who is supposed to be an outside runner, yet is able to be elite in the inside run game. Everybody scouted the speed on James Cook. You can't scout a skill a guy hasn't built yet. He built it after he got there, which makes him a special kind of outlier. Thanks for watching my video. More videos soon to come. Enjoy the NFL season, and leave a comment. Maybe even also a like. Thanks for watching.